welcome to 6 Tips at 6. My name is Javier, Community Engagement Librarian here at LaPorte County Public Library, and today we're going to be talking about 3D printing. Our first tip today is going to be how do you reserve the 3D printer and what qualifications you need to use a 3D printer. So in order to reserve the Maker Lab and the 3D printer, we're going to go ahead and navigate to laportelibrary.org, which we already are. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look for this tab right here, this little menu. It's going to say at the library. If for whatever reason you can't see it, maybe yours looks a little something like this, and you can only find this little icon right here. Go ahead and click on that, and that's going to allow you to have the same options that we were looking for a second ago. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is once we click on at the library, we're going to go ahead and click on reserve your visit. Clicking on reserve your visit brings you to this next screen, and then we're going to look for this option right here where it's going to say reserve your visit again, and we'll click on that. Once we're there, we're going to make sure that we only have the main library checked here towards the bottom where it says choose your branch. If for whatever reason you have all of them checked or some other than the main library, you want to make sure you check the main library. That's going to go ahead and bring up this option right here for the Maker Lab, which is the one we're actually looking for. After you've done that, we're going to go ahead and choose the appropriate date that's specific to the time that you want to 3D print. For an example, we're going to go ahead and select the August 5th. And we're going to make sure that you're set on the correct date that you're looking for. So once that's done, go ahead and click on Maker Lab, and that's going to expand this little section here. And we're going to go ahead and select the time slots that we need. Now these are actually cut up in 30-minute increments. So we're going to need to click on it, and that's going to give us 10 to 10:30 right there. But you'll see this little error message right here that says we need to reserve the room for at least an hour. So then we're going to go ahead and go right next to it and click on that. And it's going to select it from 10:30 to 11. So all in all, we have 10 to 11 right here. And as you can see, this little yellow area right here, the system adds in a half an hour for cleanup and breakdown time. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to select Rostock Max V3.2 3D printer. Checking that allows us to go ahead and reserve the 3D printer as well. So we'll go ahead and select choose, and it's going to have this screen right here. This screen right here is going to allow us to enter the information specific for our visit. So your first name, last name, email, group name, booking title, etc. So let's go ahead and enter that information real quick. Yeah. And when you get down to group name, if you're not actually working with a group here, go ahead and put NA because you're not with a group. And booking title, go ahead and put just 3D printing. Pretty much letting people know exactly what you're doing in the lab. Attendees, we'll put one there. And notes, go ahead and if you have any specific notes in regards to your visit or anything that you need, go ahead and add them here. And then the next section we're looking for is the I am a certified maker. Last question here is asked, are you a certified maker? Or the other option there is I need to meet with staff to complete my official maker certification. This example here is assuming that you're already a certified maker, so we'll go ahead and select that. And the last thing here we're going to have to do is read the terms and conditions. And you would just click on this. It's only one page, really easy. Just go ahead and read that. After you read it, go ahead and come back to this tab and check that you've read it. Next. Oh, we got to fix this email here. And next. All right, so it allows us, once we fix that, it allows us to go to this next screen here, where it's just going to have first name, last name, phone, and our email. making sure that the email is correct because it's going to send us an email verification after we successfully complete this. So we want that time slot. Everything looks good. We're going to hit reserve. And that's it. Now it's reserved. So now in a second, I'm going to show you the next step. So the next thing we need to talk about is what qualifications you need to actually be able to use our 3D printer. In order to do that, you have to actually be an official maker, and you would have needed to take the official maker 3D printer course. In order to do that, what you have to do is you have to navigate once again to our laportlibrary.org website, as we are here. Go on ahead and go over to the right side, and we're looking for Learn, this little Learn tab. We'll click on that. It's going to pull out a half screen window. You can change it to full screen if you want, but the tab the section we're interested in is Lab. Clicking on Lab brings us to the courses that are specific for the Maker Lab. Now you'll have to take two courses here. The first one being the official Maker course, which is necessary to pretty much use the Maker Lab in general. And the second one that we're interested in is the Lab 3D printer use and safety course, which is this one right here. So once you take these courses, there will be a short quiz at the very end of it, and they're very, very short courses. Go ahead and take the short quiz, and once you pass, it'll prompt you to print a PDF certificate. Go ahead and either print that out and bring it to us, or email us the PDF, and then we'll go ahead and try to add that to your file. Now, the other thing that's specific to these and becoming an official maker that a lot of people actually forget, but it's actually in this course here, is the fact that for each of these, after you complete the course, you have to meet with the librarian, and they're going to certify you on the piece of equipment that you're interested in. If, for instance, if it's just the official maker course, you would go ahead and meet with the librarian, and they're going to go ahead and get your certificate that you completed the course, and they're going to go ahead and have you sign our official Maker Lab waiver and or terms and condition form. So that's it. All you have to do is complete these courses and meet with the librarian, where we'll go ahead and certify you in the equipment that you're interested in. Our second tip today is going to be on print dimensions. So when you first take a look at the 3D printer, it's pretty big, and you might think that you can print really huge stuff, but even it has its limitations. And to emphasize that, we're going to take a look here. So when you first take a look at this 3D printer, which is here on the screen, you can see that it actually is huge, but a lot of people think that it just being a really huge 3D printer can just print a ridiculously huge amount of things, but that's not the case really. And in order to emphasize that, we're going to look at the actual print size right here. So the print specifications are 275 millimeters diameter and by 385 millimeters height. And in order to emphasize that, we'll go ahead and take a look at Cura. And Cura, the one thing that we have to remember is that it actually cuts off a small portion of your print dimension. So as you can see right here, for instance, it doesn't go all the way to the 275 millimeter diameter of this. So it cuts off maybe 5 millimeters or 10 millimeters. And then we'll emphasize that in Cura right now. So the next thing we're going to talk about is what you would do if, for whatever reason, you had an object you were trying to print, but it was just too big for the 3D printer. In that case, what we want to do is we want to consider is the size 100% important of the object, or is it kind of like just like an artistic thing that maybe we can scale down? If that's the case, then I would recommend scaling it down. And in order to do that, you'd kind of just go ahead and click the scale button right here, and you can scale uniformly. Maybe something like you type in or experiment with it actually, and then type in a number. If it's still too big, type in a smaller number, and just kind of like experiment with it until you get the number that you're happy with. And once you find that number, you go ahead and lock that in. Another instance would be if you had something like this, which was just a little too big for the print area, but scaling it down is not an option. Okay, in your case, so if scaling it down is not an option, and the exact scale and dimensions of your project was important to you, the other thing I would recommend is for you to actually manipulate your object in a 3D design software where you'd be able to cut strategically, maybe for instance up and down through here, you'd be able to cut it, and then maybe another one. That way, the object itself could be able to be printed in various parts on the 3D printer, and then you'd be able to glue them together. This specific method is a lot more advanced, and I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. But it's a very good tip to have, or a very good tool to have under your belt.
Number 3, cost of 3D printing. You've already figured out exactly what you want to print, but now we have to figure out what it's going to cost. And here's how we'll do that.
So I'm going to use a little equation here to illustrate the costing or the cost of 3D printing. And as you can see in this equation here, the total cost of a 3D print is going to be 25 cents plus 5 cents per gram. And as an example here, supposing you want to print on something that is approximately 81 grams, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and substitute the 81 grams for that G there. And by doing that, the 81, we'll put 81 in the equation, and it's going to give us a total of $4.30 for a print with approximately 81 grams. And just to kind of illustrate it a little bit more, I'm going to show you an example of one print, or the same print, but maybe we'll do it like with less infill density, so it's only going to be 30 grams of filament. So by doing that, what we're going to do here is we're going to substitute 30 for that G there, and that's going to give us a total of $1.75 for a print.
Tip number 4, where can you find things to 3D print? Let's talk about that here.
A great place to find already designed 3D printing objects would be Thingiverse.com, as you can see here. And once you navigate to there, you would kind of just find whatever object you're looking for. And you can kind of like scroll down, and you can find something, and you can download it, or you can just kind of search for it up in the search bar. A common object that maybe a lot of people might want to be looking for would be mass extender, for instance. So we would just type it in, and it would give us kind of some options. So once they come up, and you would kind of like go through and you figure out what exact object you want, we'll just click on this one, for instance. Clicking on it takes you to another page, which shows usually different variations they have. Other shows in detail images of the actual object, and sometimes you can find reviews on here for if somebody actually printed it before. So in order to actually just go ahead and print it, you just click download all files. It'll start downloading, but here it'll allow you the option to tip the designer if you wanted to. Another good resource for actually designing your own 3D printed objects would be tinkercad.com, and that's this one right here. Tinkercad.com actually offers a lot of different things here. One of them being electronics, another being code blocks, but the one we're interested in right now would be 3D design. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to take us to this next page, And this one is great because it's actually free. You just go ahead and click join now and create your account. But the thing that's great about this is you can actually go down here and it will show you start learning 3D. It will show you a tutorial on how you can actually start designing your own 3D objects. And it's got 3D lessons. So if, for instance, you wanted to make something like this chess pawn, the little ruler, or these glasses, it will kind of like have guides to help you learn how to do something like that. So that's another really cool resource for you. So there's a lot of 3D design software out there, but another one out here I'll mention is actually Fusion 360, which happens to be my favorite one because it has a lot of functionality in it and a lot of professional tools that you can use. So Fusion 360 allows you to actually it's a it's a CAD software that you can actually do a lot of things um, that aren't just specific to designing for 3D printing. So you can do things like sheet metal and other really cool, impressive things. But um, this is kind of like once you kind of got the hang of things like Tinkercad and you kind of like wanna become a little bit more proficient with uh with your CAD skills. I would recommend something like Fusion 360, which actually has a free trial.
Number 5, changing the infill density to save time and material. One of the things you need to know about 3D printing is it does take a long time. While you're 3D printing, you are expected to stay with the machine at all times. We're going to teach you some tips that you can use to help either speed up the print time or to use less material, which will make it cheaper for you. So changing the infill density is actually a very good way on doing one of two things: either A, changing the print time, or B, changing the amount of material used, so grams. So the first thing I want Tip number 6, upcoming classes. So in order to help our community gain the qualifications that they need to utilize our 3D printer, we've established a series of classes that we're going to use to get you that much closer to being able to use it.
So the last thing I'll mention here is a series of events that we have coming up here pretty soon, which is going to be a 3D printing class that's going to take place once a month in the afternoons. The first one that we have coming up is going to be on August 11th, and they're going to be on the second Tuesday of every month going forward. So the purpose of these 3D printing classes are to fulfill the book of librarians criteria that anyone needs so that they can become official makers for the 3D printing portion of the curriculum, and B, so that somebody can come, and if they're having a trouble or having any issues with 3D printing, they can just kind of come on in and we can try to help them along with that. So in order to actually find those events, I'll show you where you can find them on our website. So you go down to the events, and here it's going to be on the first page. So we'll find events, and we're going to go ahead and scroll down to a little bit below it and click on view all events. That's going to take us to another site. So here's the events tab, and once we're in the events, one thing that I like to do to kind of like narrow down the search field is to add a filter for exactly what we're looking for, and the filter is going to be right up here on the top because as you can see, you can't really find it here. So for filter, I'll probably just add right here. For event type, I'll change it to coding and technology, and we'll click that. There we go. As you can see, there's still nothing visible there, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and try to find the date, and let me see if I can just click on this month, and nope, it's not going to be this month. Let's click next month, and there we go. There's a couple things. So as you can see here, this 3D printing class, that's what it looks like, and that's what they're going to look like. You go ahead and you just register already. Yep. And as you can see right here, it looks like it's going to be between 6 to 7:30 p.m. Click register, and if you wanted to find a future one, you just click it right there, add the date to the search field, and that's how you'll find the events. So just keep track of those in case they change at a future date.
If you have any questions about 3D printing or anything we talked about today, please contact us at 219-362-6156 or visit our website at laportelibrary.org, and we'll try to help you out there. Tune in next week for 6 Tips at 6, where we're going to be talking about Cypress resumes. Thanks, and have a great night.